as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned and the various political reactions to it. The Congress party seems to be speaking in not one or two, but certainly in multiple voices when it comes to Article 370. The official position of the Congress party, and this was reflected in Parliament in the vote as well, was that they're rejecting the decision to abrogate 370. But on the one hand, you have leaders like former Home Minister P Chidambaram, who was speaking at an event in Chennai over the weekend, who has put a communal spin to the issue. He says the only reason that the central government, the BJP government, abrogated 370 is because Jammu and Kashmir happens to be a Muslim-majority state. He says that the same would not have happened if Jammu and Kashmir was Hindu-dominated. Then you have people like Salman Khurshid, former External Affairs Minister, who says that the Congress too aspired to scrap 370, and the only problem that they had with the BJP was the manner in which this decision was taken and the manner in which this bill was brought in Parliament to scrap 370 without consulting the people there. So tonight on Face Off, we're asking a very simple question. Is the Congress party for the abrogation of 370, as some of the leaders seem to suggest, or is it against? Or is it actually trying to stir trouble in what has been otherwise relatively peaceful in Kashmir since the last 1 week, including today, which is the day of Eid, which passed off relatively peacefully?
ஏன் காஷ்மீர்ல மட்டும் குறி வைக்கிறீங்க? அதுக்கு காரணம் என்ன? இந்து பெரும்பான்மை மாநிலமாக இருந்திருந்தால் பாரதிய ஜனதா கட்சி இதை செய்யாது. அது இஸ்லாமிய பெரும்பான்மை மாநிலமாக இருப்பதால் அவர்களை உறுத்துது, கண்ணை உறுத்துது, ஆகவே இதை செய்கிறார்.
ये देश हित में है, विकास के हित में है और जम्मू कश्मीर के आवाम के हित में है. चिदम्बरम के इस बयान की उम्मीद नहीं थी. ये भड़काऊ बयान है जिसकी हम निंदा करते हैं.
तुष्टीकरण की मानसिकता कांग्रेस की नहीं गई है, जो अब सिमट करके अंगुलियों के टिप्स पर राज्यों में बच गए. चिदम्बरम की भाषा तुष्टीकरण की भाषा है.
There is a better way of doing it, better than 370, and if 370 is no longer useful, then we could have talked about removing 370. But to do it with the stroke of a pen without consulting with government.
We just have a couple of minor localized incidents of law and order. In these incidents, there is only a couple of injuries which have reported, and otherwise the entire valley, the situation is normal.
So the situation today on Eid Day was by and large normal. It was relatively peaceful. What is the Congress party trying to do? Yes, it's speaking in dichotomous voices, but is there some kind of an agenda behind that? Let's try and bring in our guest here in our studios. Chetan Singh is a political analyst with Congress sympathies. Ahmed Ayaz, political analyst, also joining us. Nalin Kohli, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Sumit Peer is a political analyst. He's also Kashmiri Pundit, joining us on the broadcast tonight. Nalin Kohli, you know, it's been a week, exactly a week since the Rajya Sabha passed the decision to abrogate 370. It's bad enough that the principal opposition party in the country does not have a singular stand on whether they are for it or against it. They voted in Parliament one way, their leaders seem to be speaking in another way. Today was Eid and it passed off relatively peacefully. Is the Congress party trying to fish in troubled waters when Mr. Chidambaram, particularly his comments have been pretty disturbing when he says the only reason the BJP did this is because Kashmir happens to be a Muslim majority state?
Well, of course, I think Ravi Shankar Prasad ji, our law minister, has clearly said it. It's bhadkau is a very, very apt word in Hindi. But let's also look at it. Mr. Chidambaram doesn't seem to be speaking in the voice of the rest of the Congress party, because Mr. Chidambaram, Rahul Gandhi seem to be speaking one set of voices, and a whole range of leaders, whole range, in fact, the vast majority have spoken out in public, seem to be supporting the removal of Article 370. So let's break down what Mr. Chidambaram has said. He's not offered, as when Amit Shah ji asked in Parliament, now nobody has an explanation as what good was Article 370 bringing. What we know is that it has only increased the sense of separatism, and that too from a temporary provision of the Constitution. It never was meant to be permanent, and if anyone who studies law, and Mr. Chidambaram is an eminent lawyer, would clearly see that Article 1 of the Constitution says India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. The states are there in the schedule of the Constitution. Jammu Kashmir is there. That accession instrument is final. Even the Jammu Kashmir Constitution clearly said it's an integral part of India. So that's a closed chapter. The only thing was this 370 was a temporary provision which after 7 decades has found not to have worked. But what Mr. Chidambaram is doing is communalizing it. He's making it seem as if this is something about a Hindu-Muslim story. If that is the question, he has to even ask himself that how is it the situation in the valley remained so bad over successive decades despite successive governments, whereas in the rest of the country we've never had a situation like this, thankfully. So I think Mr. Chidambaram's comment is communal.
Okay.
It smacks of political opportunism. It is clearly not in sync with what the young leaders and other leaders of the Congress party are speaking.
Chetan
It is
Singh,
fishing in troubled waters.
Yeah,
it
Chetan
does
Singh
great
is joining
damage
us,
to India's
in
position
the studios
globally.
here. Because
And
the Congress
most
party is not
important of all,
sending any official
it's irresponsible
spokespersons.
coming from a former
Yeah,
Home Minister of this country.
we are going with Congress sympathizers or people who speak for the Congress party. Chetan Singh, Nalin Kohli is right. Chidambaram, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Rahul Gandhi are saying one thing. Dipinder Hooda, Salman Khurshid, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Milind Deora, the rest of the young leadership, they all seem to be saying something else. Why can't the Congress party make up its mind on what its stand is? Are they for abrogating 370? Are they not for abrogating 370? And clearly, this kind of a communal statement, they did it because it's a Muslim majority state, is completely nefarious.
See, first, you're talking about the Congress party. There are people, different leaders coming up with different voices. So this is what we talk about, unity in diversity first.
You can't have unity in diversity on one issue in one party.
Yeah. So again, it's a democratic party. So that's the reason people have their own voice. When it comes down to P Chidambaram's statement, what he has said it's a Muslim-dominated state. So what is the percentage of Muslims living in Jammu and Kashmir? We have that, figure with us.
But once again,
so
what has that got to do with the decision to abrogate 370?
See, decision of
the decision of abrogation affects Kashmir, which is Muslim majority. It affects Jammu, which is Hindu majority. It affects Ladakh, which is Buddhist majority.
Right.
So why is he bringing in religion? This has nothing to do with religion.
See, he has not got religion in between. He said it's a Muslim-dominated state. This is what he said. If you will understand, see, we need to interpret it in a right manner. We should not read it loudly. We are reading too much between the lines.
I will read exactly what he has said. I will paraphrase what he has said. And he has said that the reason the BJP dared to do this to Kashmir, revoke Article 370, is because it happens to be a Muslim majority province. Had it been a Hindu majority state, they would not have dared to do such a thing. What does that mean?
See, again,
is this not communalizing? Is this not bringing in religion?
Absolutely not. Why would I say that? See, this is the first time that the government has started giving justification about Nagaland, about 371, about 372, variety of things they have started giving their justification.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say out here is that he has made his statement very clear. Today also,
it doesn't add up.
Of Jammu and Kashmir,
one second. Let me ask Ahmed Ayaz as well as Sumit Peer. Ahmed Ayaz, I don't understand this logic of what Mr. P Chidambaram says. They did it because it's Muslim majority, because Hindu-dominated Jammu is equally affected by this decision, Buddhist-dominated Ladakh is equally affected by this decision, and so is Muslim-dominated Kashmir. Why bring in communalism into all of this? Why bring in religion? This has nothing to do with religion.
You see, Mr. Chidambaram is entitled to his view, and so far as his view is concerned, I don't think that he is an ordinary person and he must have just said it. Yes, he must have said it with certain logic.
Do you agree with his hypothesis that this is a communal act? That this was done for communal reasons?
We will not. No. We never said that it's a communal act. But what he said is a fact that J&K is a Muslim-dominated or Muslim-majoritarian state. It is there. So if he has said the same, there's nothing wrong. And
once again, how do you then explain, Ahmed Ayaz, how do you explain the implications of abrogation 370 are equally applicable to Hindu-dominated Jammu, Buddhist-dominated Ladakh and Muslim-dominated Kashmir?
It's not like that. It's not like that.
What do you mean it's not like that?
Why bifurcation? Why removal of Article 370? Why abrogation? If they mean, it is otherwise communalized. If they mean to abrogate it just because some development, please.
So all of these other leaders, Milind Deora to Jyotiraditya Scindia, Dipinder Hooda, have all welcomed it. So are you saying they're not secular because they welcome this move?
That may be a policy. No. That may be a policy of the Congress. We don't want that. But the point is, otherwise also, individually, if somebody has said, he is entitled to his own view. And this also is a fact that even BJP also has
argument is
even
not
BJP
just,
also has
not just infructuous.
this.
This argument is dangerous. And I'll tell you why, Sumit Peer, because when 370 was revoked, both the Home Minister said in Parliament and the Prime Minister said in the address to the nation last week that almost 42,000 people have died. If by Mr. Chidambaram's logic this was done because Kashmir happens to be Muslim dominated, then out of those 42,000 people, only Muslims should have gotten killed. Hindus have been killed, Buddhists have been killed, non-religious people have been killed, Kashmiris have been killed. Why are we looking to communalize this?
Mr. Jacob, if you look at it, it's a very unfortunate thing. This should have never ever happened in the independent India, and that too coming from a former cabinet minister, right? He has been the Home Minister of the country. This is decisive, this is communal, and this is unwarranted for. Because the fact of the matter is that 370, what Kohli rightly said, was a temporary provision. Mr. Iyengar got it on the last day when the preamble was finalized. It was brought in a time and a thing that, look, we need a few more days or we need a few more years for the constitutional things to get implemented in J&K. It was never permanent in nature. Let's not befool the nation that it was done to protect Muslims. It was just done that we need some more time to implement constitutional things in J&K because of the current situation we had in. And when Maharaja signed annexion, there was no condition to it. The document of annexure is same as what we signed with other 550 princely states.
Okay.
So now what has happened yesterday? Now the question is what made Mr. Chidambaram do that? Yesterday we saw that CWC again re-elects Sonia Ji as the president. So the old guard is back into the business. And with this happening
what is the connection? What is the connection? No, one second. What is the connection?
They are back to appeasement.
Back to appeasement because Sonia Gandhi is interim president.
In 1960, Lal Bahadur Shastri started taking initiatives, started taking steps to ensure that the 370 powers are going to get reduced. So, plenty of amendments
he's saying that this is a reflection of Sonia Gandhi coming back as interim president.
Absolutely not.
You're appeasing. You're appeasing Muslims.
See, appeasing Muslims and all is something, these are the, too much of used word. So I think there is no point talking about these kind of words. I understand, sir, you are a Kashmiri Pandit, you have your sentiments. So you should rather ask the government the question that when you would be sent back to Kashmir. So this should be the most important question.
One second, Chetan, before I go back to Nalin Kohli. One second, Sumit, one second. Chetan Singh, tell me something. Almost 42,000 people. Almost 42,000 people have died in Kashmir over the last 30 years. Nobody went looking for what their religion was. Are they Hindu? Are they Muslim? Are they Christian? Are they Sikh? There have been people of all kinds of faiths who have died in Kashmir. I mean, if going by Mr. Chidambaram's logic, we should then also start looking at how many Muslims were killed, how many Hindus were killed in Kashmir.
Everybody wants peace in Kashmir because we know what kind of state we are going through. Look at the economy, look at everything, look at the poverty, look at agriculture, all these states. So therefore, everybody wants it. So whatever
today was Eid. You're
Chidambaram
saying there's no peace today. There was no peace today in Kashmir.
No. It is a premature judgment now. It is going to take at least 6 months. If we cannot judge it now, the postmortem is only going to happen after 6 months.
If in 6 months there is no violence, you will agree that this is a good decision.
See, everybody wants no violence to happen. No violence to happen. See, we should not talk about Pakistan. Pakistan is nowhere in the picture now. That's a very poor nation. We should not talk about it. China, of course, yes. Today also you have shown some images of China. Even Donald Trump is also singing some different song.
Donald Trump individually hasn't said anything after the abrogation. He said something in the last week of July. But that's a different matter. Let me go back to Nalin Kohli and ask a question. One of the things that Chetan Singh said, and this is a question that's being asked. One second. I'm going to Nalin Kohli. The question that is being asked by many of the BJP's detractors, J&K is not the only state that was protected by an article of the Constitution that had special status by virtue of it. There's 371 that protects Nagaland. Similarly, Mizoram is protected too. How come you didn't want to change any of that?
Because those who are asking this question are legally illiterate or have never gone ahead and bought the Constitution of India, which is available from rupees 40 to 300 rupees a copy, and they would just need to read it. Those sections are clearly written Article 370 on special provisions. 370 is temporary provision. You teach these words in class 5 or 6 in a normal school. What is the difference between a temporary word and a permanent word? There is no comparison. These are arguments that people are making without even doing their homework. Let's now come back to the issues here. And it really riles a person, and it should rile any Indian. The communal comment that's coming. Are we saying when all the Hindu Pandits, Kashmiri Pandits were cleansed out in the 1990s, that was secularism? And what was done to the kind of ladies and what kind of situations, go and see what it is. That is communal. Do you say that Aurangzeb, the soldier from the Kashmir Valley, who was kidnapped by terrorists and he was killed, his brothers joining the Indian army thereafter, is that communal or secular?
See,
Ayub Pandita, who was a Muslim lynched outside the mosque on the prayers, was that
I really fail to understand what is the point, Mr. Kohli, out here.
Nobody
wants any soldier to die.
One second. The point, I think the simple point that Nalin Kohli is making is...
Let me finish my point, please.
No, the simple point he's making is when Mr. Chidambaram... When Mr. Chidambaram says...
Why are we giving so much of heat to Chidambaram's statement?
Because he's a former home minister. He should know what he's talking about. He can't be fishing in troubled waters.
Kashmir.
One second, Nalin.
May I make 2 more points?
Finish your point, please.
Zaka, 2 more points.
Quickly,
Yes, 2 more points, just to finish, with everyone's permission. The next issue is that, let me put it again bluntly, for the people who are raising this communal bogey, they are doing great injustice to the secularism of India. And the fact, no other state has this kind of a communal situation. Why is it only the valley? And who is it that has given the right to the valley that they will determine even what is happening in, as you correctly said, Ladakh and Jammu? The Prime Minister doesn't speak. He speaks, we talk of the development of the country, especially all the youth of Jammu Kashmir. The Home Minister in Parliament speaks that. Is that not responsible? And with this statement, are they not giving a handle to Pakistan? Are they speaking not the language of Pakistan?
Ahmed Ayaz, the Congress party is speaking the language of Pakistan.
Mr. Kohli, what was the... Rishi, 2 things I just want to tell you. When you say that this was a temporary provision, then I tell you the temporary provision was with the condition that the people of Jammu and Kashmir will be given a choice to decide their fate. 1. Second is there when you abrogate 370. What was the requirement of? What was the requirement of abrogating it? Because if you say that development is not there, that you could have done, otherwise you could have invested. There was 370 did not come in our ways. If you say that corruption was there, that you could have tackled it otherwise. The 370 did not come in our ways. What was the requirement? A requirement is only that you just want to have a political problem with the muftis and
okay, you made your point. You've asked 2 questions.
Otherwise.
No, you've asked 2 questions, valid questions. Let Nalin answer. Yes.
Mr. Ayaz, no, I'll answer that. Mr. Ayaz, unfortunately, I have a little advantage over you because I happen to be a practicing lawyer. And let me point out that the government of Narendra Modi ji, that's Prime Minister and Home Minister Amit Shah, have done great homework. Let me point out that yes, when you raise the question of the Constituent Assembly, the first point is under 373, the President can come out with a proclamation. He is supposed to, which is what you are pointing under 373, take the concurrence of the Constituent Assembly, which doesn't exist. Twice in the past, the Congress governments have done it through the state legislature. Now let me point out, when on June 12th, Parliament promulgated the extension of President's rule under 356, at that point, clearly 356C also is B or C is included, which means when the House is dissolved, Parliament will function as the Assembly. Clearly, legally, it means that yes, only a resolution had to be moved. The fact that it's passed, you can raise it in court. It will have a legal challenge if it has to have a legal challenge. But the question, second question is why remove 370?
No, once again, Sumit Peer,
brought about the situation that you're talking of.
No, Sumit Peer, one second, let me, Nalin, one second, Ayaz, one second, let me go to Sumit Peer. I think what is happening is the Congress party realizes that the national mood in this country, which is why people like Dipinder Hooda and Milind Deora and Jyotiraditya Scindia and Sachin Pilot, the entire young brigade of the Congress party has sensed the mood of the country.
Correct.
Unfortunately, the old establishment either can't seem to read the mood of the country, or they simply don't want to fall in line. They simply don't want to go with the mood of the country. The younger leaders have figured that out. And the Congress party, being the stodgy old establishment party that it is, can't reflect that in its position in Parliament or in its official statements after the CWC was convened last week. Sumit Peer.
Mr. Jacob, that's exactly the point I made. I said that, you know, when Mrs. Gandhi is back, it's the old guard is back. When the old guard is back, they are back with their old agenda of appeasement. It's as clear and as visible today. And there are two things which you have to note. Where did Mr. Chidambaram make this statement? And he made in this statement says, what if it happens to Tamil Nadu next? So he's already breaking up that sentiment of separation and that Dravidian sentiment of, you know, there's a repressive force who is dividing states, making them into union territories. While that is not the case. Let me ask one question, sir. When 500,000 Kashmiri Pandits were uprooted because they are from a Hindu majority, they do not matter. Then we are all secular. Right? When we try to do something for the development of the people, then we become communal. Tell me, has one person from Jammu picked up a gun? From Ladakh? From Kargil? From Doda? From Kishwar? No.
Okay.
So, you know, the fact of the matter remains, Mr. Jacob, Valley is 15% of the area. And 5 constituencies out of 17 districts are hijacking the agenda.
Okay.
They are talking of J&K, but
right,
J&K is 17 districts.
Chetan, last 30 seconds, I've got to wrap up.
Of the people
Mr. Peer,
hijack
it is
the
extremely
agenda.
essential for you to ask the government and need to understand the roadmap for Kashmiri Pandits to get again to Kashmir. First, second most important point is that whatever Chidambaram has mentioned, whatever he has mentioned, it is important for the government to go and approach him. He is a parliamentarian. He's
Why
not
should
an
the
ordinary
government
person.
go and approach him?
No,
He has
absolutely.
made a communal statement.
See, come on.
It is for him to clarify.
But
why should the government go and approach him?
Why should the government?
I mean, he's a home minister. He's a former home minister. He should know the import of what he has said.
What kind of thoughts he's carrying in his mind?
I don't care what kind of thoughts he's carrying in his mind. No, I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. No, I'm sorry. That's unacceptable.
Nobody can stop us.
Nobody in the country. No, I'm sorry, Chetan. I've got to wrap up. Nobody in the country need care about what thought process led Mr. Chidambaram to say this. Fact is, what he said was rank communal. He had no business communalizing what was a decision taken by the government. He may agree or not agree. His party can vote against the move, as they did in Parliament. That's fair enough. But to say that this was done because it's a Muslim majority state is absolutely trying to fish in troubled waters. It's a communal statement. Mr. Chidambaram, being a former home minister, a former finance minister, an eminent lawyer, should have simply known better than that. I'm going to take a break, wrap up this debate, and when we come back on the other side, we'll shift focus to the other story, which is getting underreported right across the country, and that is the flood fury. Though the rains have subsided, the floods are simply not going away, whether it's in Maharashtra, in Karnataka,